Uh, so in the last class, we we added a tennis ball. We were able to grab it. We were able to throw it, and we were able to rotate it, translate it, all those things. And today we will add a tennis racket, and we will see how to grab it in a particular orientation, because ball is round, so there is no specific orientation. You can hold it in any way, but there are some objects which need to be held in a particular orientation so that it makes sense. Otherwise it looks odd. Okay, so last time we put the camera at top and the ball at a height just to see how the ball will bounce. Now we will put back the camera uh, at the bottom. So let's make y0 not 0, let's make it 1.2 or something, 1, and rotation and this is the camera. Set yes, yeah. let's let's see its view. Let's rotate it towards the table. Okay, and okay, this makes more sense. Yeah, so let's leave the camera there and let's keep the ball on the table. uh, so I think it's maybe 1. Let me check the lamp's position so that it's easier to place the ball. Table lamp, so it's 0.77. Let's put the ball also there. Yeah, okay, so yeah, now it seems neat. Let's see how it looks. Okay, the hands are too close. Camera is still this side, so let's make x0. Okay, and rotate this. Okay, let's see now. Much better, but let's rotate it a bit more. Okay, all right, now let's place a tennis racket on the table. So you can go to, yeah, you can see it's in the objects already. So let's place a tennis racket. Okay, let me leave it there for now. on the table. Let's move it a little to the right. Okay, so now let's see. Now suppose I try to hold this. Okay, first I need to make this grabbable, right? So I need to add, what component should I add? XR grab interactable, so that it becomes grabbable. Okay, so let's add that. And the moment you add that, in rigid body, under rigid body component, in collision detection field, make it continuous dynamic, and and in XR grab interactable component, check smooth position and smooth rotation fields, so that it's not jittery. When you move it, it's not jittery. Okay, so now let's check it. Okay, now I press G, but you see how it is. I mean, my hand has disappeared basically. So instead of left, let me use right, because I didn't apply the disappearing option for the right hand, so that it's easier for you to understand what's happening. Okay. So let me put it, yeah. Now if I press G, you see it is holding it at an odd orientation. All right, this is not what we want. We want it to hold it like a bat, right? So we need to change the orientation of the racket. Now, just changing the orientation of the racket on the table does not change anything, because if you see, the forward axis is in this direction, and then green axis, that is y axis, is above, and z axis is along the racket. Okay, so even if you rotate the racket, these axes will remain the way they are. The forward axis is still to the right, and the green axis is perpendicular to the racket, and the z axis is parallel to the racket. Now, so again, when you hold the hand, it will hold the racket in that direction only, because the axes relative to the racket are fixed. Okay, so if you really want to change that, so what you need to do is, in the racket, you see there is something called attach transform. So what we will do, we will add an empty child object to the racket, which will attach to the racket handle, and we will change its orientation, so that now when the hand grabs the racket, it will grab according to the orientation of this attach object instead of the orientation of the racket. So the orientation of the racket can be different from the orientation of its attach object. So we will align the attach object in our convenient way, and the hand will align with the attach object orientation. It will override, or it will supersede the racket's orientation. Racket's orientation will still be fixed, whatever it is, but attach object orient is just an empty object. It's just to give us the orientation. So we will use that object to align our hand with the racket. Okay, so what we will do, we are already on the racket, so select the racket, right click. Okay, where is it? Create empty. So just say create empty. It will give you a child object, empty child object. You name it attach. Okay, now if you see this attach object, this attach object's orientation is also same as of the racket as of now. Okay, but we need to grab this attach object into this attach transform field of the tennis racket. So grab it. Okay, now I can change this attach object's orientation so that the hand will hold the racket in a particular way. Now, how to change this attach object's orientation? How do I understand that? So for that, a better thing would be to see how the hand should be positioned at the racket and how its axes are aligned. So let's go to hands. Okay, so let's say I will use, say, this one, and I will place it here. Okay, now this is how we want the hand to hold the racket, right? Okay, let me put this. Okay, now this is attach orientation and this is hand orientation. Okay, for the hand, the blue axis is in the same direction, aligning with that of the attach. The green is upwards, whereas for the attach, the green is perpendicular. So I need to rotate attach like this so that the attach green is also upwards. Okay, you see attach green is forward, so I need to rotate the attach object. So select rotate and rotate it perpendicularly. So that it comes like this. Now let's see the attach axis. You see, now the attach axis is also as we want. Hand axis, you can check it again. Hand axis are also as we want, orientation. Okay, now let's hold the racket and see. This hand is only for reference purpose. This is not the actual hand. Okay, we made the racket stand, right? So it fell because of gravity. That doesn't matter, but when you hold it, it will just take wherever, in whichever angle the racket is, it will just hold it according to the attach orientation. Okay, so you can use either hand, right or left, it doesn't matter. Now you see, this is how we want to hold the racket, right? Zoom out. Yeah. So basically this is how we want to hold the racket. Now it is not perpendicular or anything. So whenever you want to hold an object in a particular angle, if the object's orientation is fixed, you add an additional attach object with whatever orientation you want, so that it will attach to that object according to the attach object's orientation and not the object's orientation. Okay, so that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we did. Okay, so next, now let's look at now let's look at sockets. So sockets are like now you see these hooks. So we have hooks, we can place some objects here, right? We would like to place, say, some hats. We want to hook some hat onto the hook stand. Okay, so what we will do first, we need to add some hats. So let's place the hats here on this table. So for that, again, we need to look at objects, hats. So there are different kinds of hats. So let's choose this hat, and this hat, these two hats for now. Okay, now what we want to do, we want to add these hats, so that, so what happens, it's like when I take the hat near the hook, it should understand that I want to place the hat there. So I won't do the nuanced actions of turning it, putting it there. I'll just take it there, and then when I leave it, it'll automatically latch on in the correct position. Okay, that's like putting a watch, or when you take a bulb near the lamp and you leave it, it will get fit into the lamp socket automatically. Those kind of things. So basically, we need to place sockets at the right places so that the object goes and fits neatly into that socket. That's the idea. Okay. So let's select this hook, and we need to add a component called XR socket interactor. Okay, and it is normally placed at the center, but we want to place it at each hook. Okay, so let's drag it. Is the scene not moving? Anyway, so let's look at this hook. Where is the hook? Yeah, hook. And where is the socket? Yeah, there is socket interactor. Let me delete and add again, just a minute. Okay, before we, so first let me remove this. I'll come back to this. So before that, first we need to make these hats rigid objects. Okay, so we can press so you can select multiple objects and then change their properties together. So in the so first you need to add grabbable component, right? XR grab interactor, XR grab interactable, and in the rigid body component you change this to continuous dynamic. This will happen for both the hats together. Okay, and again XR grab interactable, change this to smooth position and smooth rotation. Okay, so once you do that, reposition the XR rig closer to the hats. Okay, so what we will do, so let's reposition it closer to the hats so that it later it is easier for us to handle them. Okay, and so I'll just make it 0. Okay, and orient orientation, I can change it to whatever I want. Camera. Okay. Okay. Let me make this 0 for now. Yeah. And camera offset is this. Okay. Camera is this. Okay. Okay. So let me look towards the hats. Yeah. Okay. So once we are done with that, okay. Um, Now let's select the hook. Now let's go to the hook. Mm, Hook. And then we add a child object and let's name it socket 1. Okay, so this one, it is added at the center. So what we will do, we will add it near a particular hook. So let's add it near a hook. Let me change the perspective so that it's easier. So let me drag it this side and a little above. Now let's see how it looks. Yeah, seems fine, but a little more. So now it's like almost on the hook edge. Okay, so all right, then so this socket's radius we need to define. So how, so when do we know that an object came near the socket? We need to add some kind of a box collider. So instead of a box collider, we will add a sphere collider because the object can come top, left, right, anywhere. So instead of box collider, we will add sphere collider so that when an object comes near the socket, we understand that it came near the socket. When it collides with the sphere, we understand that it came near the socket. Okay, so to this socket, add sphere collider component. Okay, this sphere size is too big, so let's reduce its size. Okay. So actually you select edit collider. Okay, now you will see two dots here, so reduce its size. Okay, let's move it. Move this here, move this here. Okay. Okay, now it seems to be fitting neatly onto the socket. Okay, just ensure that it doesn't overlap the other hook. It covers only one hook at a time, so make it small enough so that it is covering only one hook, and select the ease trigger option so that you know that when it when it collides, you are able to do something, you are able to perform some action. Okay, and then now add socket interactor object. We just named this socket, we didn't give socket interactor feature yet. We could have named it child1 also. So we just put a sphere collider around that. Now we are giving it socket abilities. So we added two components, sphere collider component, and made it small enough so that it covers only that hook. And now we are adding socket interactor component. So two components we are adding to this child object. Okay. And now, so let's try to hook a hat and see how it behaves. Okay, so I grab. Okay, actually I need to go closer, much closer, because the hat is here but my hand is not there. And so I need to move closer to the hats. So let me come out. Let me see this table's location so that it's easy. Hat is 5 minus 2. Okay, so and keep it near the hook. Okay. Let's have some distance on z axis. 5. Okay, let's see now. Now we are too close to the hook. We need to keep some distance. -1. Let's see. Okay, still it is too close. Okay, we need to change this camera offset. is at a distance. Now let's try to grab a hat. Okay. Now let's see. It's difficult, huh? So what we will do, you see, since we don't have the controllers with us, it's difficult to move these hands there. So I will enable the anchor points like last time. Using WASD keys, I can move the object forward and backward. Although it will also control my camera movement, but I will just still use it to move the object forward and backward. Okay, so I'll enable anchor control, and for both left and right. Yeah, for right anchor control is anyway there. Okay, now let's see. Okay, I'm looking this side. Okay, now so let me grab this hat. Now I'll move it towards the hook. You see, you are seeing a blue outline as the hat went near the hook. It means it is ready to be, so if you leave it, it will become a hat there. So I leave it, you see the hat went and sat there. Okay, so that is a socket. So it is recognizing that you can put it on the socket. So you can grab it again, you can test it again, you can keep moving it forward, and you see the hat shape on the hook. If you leave it, it goes and sits there. Okay, but it is sitting in an odd position. This is not the orientation in which we want the hat to sit. So now again we will use the attach object. We will attach an empty object to the socket, and we will modify its shape so that whenever an object comes and sits there, it will sit in a particular orientation. Okay, so for this socket we will add an empty object. We will call it attach, and so let's go to that attach object. Let's look at its orientation. So what we want this blue line to be looking downwards and green to be looking perpendicular. Okay, let's see how it looks now. Yeah, so this is what we want. Now let's see how the hat goes and sits. Oh, we also need to drag this attach object onto this socket in attach transform field. So where is it? Yeah, attach transform, we need to drag this. Yeah, now it should work. Let's come back. Okay, let's grab this. Let's look upwards and let's move it forward. Okay, now let's see. If I leave it, you see it's sitting like a hat. It's not parallel, it's slightly oriented towards the ground. We can still bend it further if we want. It will sit uh, in a much better position if we want. Yeah, so that is yeah, so now we can add more sockets to the hooks. So all we need to do is, so we can make each hook a socket. We added the first hook a socket. We made the first hook into a socket. All we need to do is duplicate this socket. So select this socket and press uh, Command D or Control D, okay, and rename this, say, socket 2. Okay, now all you need to do is to move it to the second hook. You are moving the copy, not the original. Okay, yeah, it is sitting well on the second hook. Similarly, you can copy the second socket by pressing Control D or Command D and move it to the third hook. Yeah, this is also sitting well. Now we can place the hats on any of these hooks. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I can grab this and I can say place it on the third hook. You see, and I can grab another hat. And I can place it on the second hook. Yeah, okay. Mm, okay, now, so this is fine. Now the thing is, we can also place any object onto the hooks. Like we can grab a ball and place it on the hook. We can grab a tennis racket and place it on the hook. But that's not what we want. Like you can see, suppose I grab the tennis racket and let me change it. Where are my hands? Oof. Yeah, it's somewhere here. It has taken it in the other direction, huh? Where are my hands? Anyway, let me go out and come back. Okay. So I can uh, I can grab this and I can move this side. Yeah, and now if I try placing it here, you see, even this is being placed, but that's not what we want. We want only hats to be placed. So we will do some more changes so that only hats are allowed to be placed on the hooks. So first we will select both the hats, and in the XR grab interactable, here there is a field called interaction layer mask. So here we will add a new layer and name it, say, hats. Okay, and okay. Now, so this, in both we need to select this hats, okay, and we need to unselect this default. So one easier way is select nothing and then select whatever you want. So you can select multiple things. Right now we want only hats to be selected. Okay, so basically this is like so what we are doing, it's like we are adding a label to these objects, and we will use this label as a filter for the objects that are hookable onto the hooks. So onto the hooks we will put a rule saying that only objects with this label can be hooked onto the hooks. So for that we need to first add that label to the objects we want. So we are adding a label called hats to the hats, and then we will go to the hooks, and then we will say only allow the objects with the label hats to sit on the hooks. So that's what we are doing. Okay, yeah. Now select these three sockets, and again in their interaction layer mask there are multiple things. Everything can hook onto them, hats can hook onto them, default things, teleport, all these are possible. We don't want all that, we want only hats. So first select nothing, and now select only hats. Okay, so now it will allow only hats to sit on it. Okay, now let's see if we can place tennis racket or not. Okay, so first let's try the hats themselves. Let's move it forward. Hat is sitting, it is allowing the hat to sit. Okay, let's remove it for now. Let's try placing the tennis racket. Let me go a bit back. Okay, let me grab the tennis racket. Okay, now let me try placing it, say, on this hook. It's not allowing. Right, yeah, so it's allowing only hats to sit. Okay, so that's the thing. That's about VR. So far we looked at various things: how to grab objects, how to change their orientation, how to move around, how to teleport, right, how to add sockets, how to place objects on sockets, all these things. So there are various things, uh, and we are done with VR portion, and I'm still trying to get the VR headset. If I can set up these things in the VR headset, I will show that in the next class. If it is not possible, we'll just move on to AR. Okay, so that's VR so far. Okay, so let's stop here.